WNST. Things to discuss, and for those of you watching out on our Facebook Live as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel, you see I have my Stanley Cup swag here. This next guest, I don't tell people this much and don't let the secret out, but he's a Redskins fan, and, I'm a Ravens fan, and we don't agree in football season. But it is amazing through the corridor here from Baltimore and Washington, even up to Harrisburg and into Hershey and down into Virginia. The Capitals bring people together. Robert Canady is our golf insider as well as our college basketball local hoops aficionado. You can find him out at Buckets and Birds on Twitter, and you can always find him on the 36 Bikini Wax greens at Compass Point Golf down in Pasadena. We welcome him back in on the weekend of, night golf, U.S. Open, and the Caps won the Stanley Cup this week. That's all that's happened since the last time you and I got together, Robert. So welcome in. We can both share in this championship.
Absolutely, yeah, great. A lot of things going on to celebrate this time of year. It's good stuff going on and transitioning. Everyone's playing golf now in the hockey world, including actually one of the referees, which we've been playing in the U.S. Open. We can talk about that in a second.
Well, I guess for the region and bringing people together, just be honest with me. They won the Stanley Cup 5, 6, 7 days, however long ago it was, and over the last, 30 days, I would say on April 15th, maybe 5 guys a day come in, hit a bucket of balls, or go out onto the course with a Caps hat. Tell me what it's been like the last 5 days. Is it every other human being now has a championship hat? Because everybody wants to wear their gear all of a sudden, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if they're not talking golf here the last couple of weeks, it's definitely they've been talking hockey. Yeah. And there's been some of that in the past, but until the football training camps get going and September and August, with the Ravens, and of course, you get all the Ravens talk. But there's been very, very little Ravens talk here. The last couple of weeks, it's been all caps, to use the hashtag, and but it's been cool. I mean, we have some Capital stuff in the pro shop. It's sold well in the past, but it's little ball markers, divot tools,
nice.
With the Caps logo on them.
Okay.
So. In the past, it's always been the big football sellers, the Ravens, the Redskins, even some of those dreaded Steeler ones we had would sell, and the Eagles.
Well, look, man, the Penguins have been golfing for quite some time now. So
they have been, yeah. So their game's in midseason form, and judging by the festivities this past week, the Capitals, I think they're finally ready to get out there and enjoy some golf, well-deserved golf and everything. And so who knows, maybe we'll a couple of them have been known to venture up this way in the past, especially more so when they were based out of Piney Orchard. We would see a couple of them, but maybe a little bit longer trip from their off-season homes now.
Hey, by the way, before I even get to golf, and I want to do U.S. Open, by the way, Robert Canady's Buckets and Birds out on Twitter. Anything you want to say about the Terps and what's going on there with guys 1 foot in the draft, 1 foot out, putting the toe in, bringing the toe back, Fernando in, Fernando out, Herder in, Herder gone. It's kind of a wild time for college basketball in that way when you have a program with so many guys sort of on the edge of maybe they'll come back and play 30 games next year, or maybe they won't.
Yeah, it is. And I think, there was definitely the 2 big names we were watching, Herder and Fernando, there as the deadline at the end of May to declare whether you're coming back or staying out. And I think, as everyone's probably seen, Herder did really well in the combine and, was pretty much assured he'd be a late first-round pick, probably at worst, maybe early second. Fernando, not so much, was a little bit more uncertain. And I think, anyone who watched him this year sees the potential and, knows that, another year definitely will benefit him going next year.
Dude, I've watched Kevin Herter the last couple of years. There's nothing I've ever looked at him and said, wow, he's going to play at the next level. I don't profess to be an expert and let them go into, and they all get promised that they're going to be at the end of the first round or the beginning of the second round, and then all of a sudden they don't get drafted. I've seen that story far too many times. I don't know. The whole thing's a little weird to me. I mean, he doesn't feel like even nearly anything like a finished product or a guy who shouldn't be playing college basketball right now. I mean, I haven't seen him dominate at this level yet. Why would I guess that's where the synapse is for me over the last 20 years, is finding a guy like Kevin Herter is going to be a really good NBA player, a contributor to a winner, a top 7 or 8 player on the floor in the NBA. Really? Boy, you know, Come back 5 years from now and make fun of me when I'm wrong and he's starting for the San Antonio Spurs, but I don't see that, bro. I just don't.
Yeah, no, it's, I'm right there with you, and I think a lot of people until that scouting combine performance where apparently he shot the lights out and he showed enough, defensive skills that, people spoke highly of him, and, he probably felt, and again, I think, most of these guys, they get advice from all over, but everything I read about it sounds like, he didn't make a rash decision. It sounds like he talked to Turgeon, he talked to his family, he talked to other people in the league, and maybe he feels, I got to go when, the time's right. And, next year, he's the type, he probably wasn't, just as you said, I don't think he's going to change a lot between this year and next year. So maybe he's going while the getting's good versus Fernando. I think his upside is huge still. I mean, obviously as a freshman, he came in raw. I think he's been playing the game probably 3 or 4 years from what I understand. And, he could grow leaps and bounds this coming sophomore season and maybe become a lottery-type pick next year as opposed to an unknown this year. So, yeah, Herder, maybe it was just a strike while the iron's hot if the promises, you're right, if the promises live up. They get in the draft and weird things happen, trades happen, and people all of a sudden feel different about something, and he could be on the outside looking in, maybe not, but remains to be seen. He certainly appears to be maybe one of those solid, end of the bench type guys, but we'll see. So, but anyway, College Park will move on without him. They have some, good freshmen coming in.
Well, June 21st is the date, so we're, up on this. I mean, all of a sudden, the draft is next week, so we'll be able to talk about all of this stuff. Robert Canady here, Buckets and Birds, out on Twitter. We talk a lot of basketball in the winter, and obviously I called you for golf this week, so I don't want to belabor the college basketball thing, certainly amidst the Orioles being in last place and my Dear Orioles series and Flacco and Lamar Jackson tossing the ball around, and we have an NBA champion in the Caps and all this, but what's really happening this week, the biggest story for sports is they're going to, by the way, Triple Crown, I keep forgetting that thing happened last week, too.
Right, that happened too, didn't it?
I mean, by the way, we got the World Cup. Oh, by the way, the World Cup starts this weekend, too. That's the biggest thing going on in the world. But certainly from our perspective here, the U.S. Open, 15th, a title at stake for Tiger Woods. We're all wondering whether he'll ever win another one or not. But certainly you have to think that he's in the conversation, and he becomes the conversation when he's in the conversation at Shinnecock, right?
Absolutely. He hasn't played in the last 2 U.S. Opens, due to his injuries and everything, and so this will be the first one he's played in 3 years. So there's that. That adds to the excitement level to see him back, and the fact that he's played relatively well during the spring. He's had a couple of good showings, a couple of close calls down in Florida earlier in the year, and he's put some good rounds together. He hasn't put 4 good rounds together yet to what it takes to win. But, it's anytime Tiger tees it up and it's a major, it's going to get a lot of attention. And, watched a lot of footage of him, from the practice rounds early this week and his press conference on Tuesday. And, it's a different Tiger. I mean, I know you'll laugh at this. It's a kinder, gentler Tiger. There's no secret he's been very terse and rude.
I saw him take selfies with 5 people on my Facebook thread 2 weeks ago when he was running around down, down the road, and I was kind of blown away by that.
Yeah, and in his press conference on Tuesday, he was smiling and joking, and someone even asked about his episode last May when he was found on the road at 2 a.m, in a altered state, should we say. And, instead of getting very snide, and he just said, life is much better now, and kind of smiled and moved on. And, so it'll be interesting to see, having him in there definitely adds to the, and you from the other players, and they've talked about it, that, everything's different when Tiger's at a major. There's more media, there's more fans, there's more people on the putting green they laughed about. They can't get their work done, and they kind of have to, try to plan around when Tiger's not out there. And, they're 10 years since he's won his last one, and, whether he'll win another one, who knows? Some say yes, some say never, but, that's why they tee it up and we watch it. And, this is my favorite week of the year. A lot of people love the Masters, but the U.S. Open's my favorite one because there's always so many good stories going into it. You've got,
well, you're in the middle of the season, right? Spieth's in a slump, so we're going to talk about that. Tiger's back, and he's there. We're going to talk about that. Johnson hit it straight last week. We're going to talk, and it's so much of it is how the wind blows, right? And it's like starting pitchers going well or guys not going well. I guess there's reasons to not like guys going into this if they're not going well and they're not playing good golf this spring, right?
Right, and I was just talking to a golf friend the other day, and we were talking about there's so many of them you could pick. Justin Rose won, a few weeks back. And I said, you better watch him at the U.S. Open. Then what happens? Rory McIlroy wins. You say, you better watch Rory. And then, of course, Dustin Johnson wins last weekend. Regains #1 in the world. So, you could take those top 10 players in the world and throw them in a hat and pick out anyone. And I would take that as a favorite and bet on that person. And then it's the U.S. Open. There could be someone ranked number 47 in the world that, all of a sudden has the hot week, comes from off the radar. And that generally happens the first couple rounds. You'll see someone like that leading the first or second round. You'll think, who's this guy? And, then by Sunday he kind of fades back, and it's more names that you're familiar with more likely than not. But, what I love about this U.S. Open, it's different than the Masters because it's a different course every year. The Masters are great, and we love it because everyone loves Amen Corner, and they love the azaleas and everything, and where the trouble spots are, like the 12th green. Is everyone going to be able to hit it? Well, here at Shinnecock Hills, we haven't seen it since the disaster in 2004, the setup. So, how will it have changed? Most of these players have never played it before, in a competitive round. I think there's only 14 players in the field that played it in 2004. Most of these young guys we just talked about were, 10-year-olds when it was last played there, just starting to get into the game. So there's so many different storylines with it. Phil going for his career Grand Slam, at age 48, he would be the oldest to win a major if U.S. Open if he wins it. So can Tiger come back? Can Brooks Koepka win back-to-back? Can Dustin Johnson regain, win his second major? So lots of good stuff going on.
He is Robert Canady. He's our pal from Compass Point Golf. They do it up and tee it up down there each and every morning when the sun comes up. You can find them down in Pasadena, 36 holes, as well as the world's largest golf outing coming up in early August. Don't forget, there's night golf this week, but that's filled up, right? I mean, we've talked about how popular that is. You should be doing that once a month, right? That's a big hit.
Yeah, we've been telling people for a few weeks to get signed up for that, and they did, and we have a full field, and weather looks like it'll be good, and, it'll be fun. So that's filled up. But, yeah, we have the next big one on the calendar will be our world's largest golf outing. It's an event our company does every year to all 140 courses that are in the Billy Casper management portfolio. Have it the same day of the year. We run the tournament. We do the sign-ups. Everyone comes out. They play their scramble, and a good portion of the proceeds go to benefit the Fisher House all across the country. A wonderful organization where they have homes near military hospitals where family and servicemen can stay for free of charge, much like the Ronald McDonald houses, while they're being treated or their family members are being treated. So it's
very familiar with that. We when my wife fought, we had a lot of people that needed housing for their families. So very, very familiar with that. So that's an awesome program. You can learn more out at Compass Point Golf. It is August the 6th. That's correct, right?
That's correct. Yep, Monday, August 6th. Yep.
All right, man.
Time to sign up.
Well, we're going to get everybody down hitting the golf ball with you, and certainly U.S. Open. You got any predictions this weekend for U.S. Open or no?
Oh, it's changed with the wind, but I still like Dustin Johnson every time he tees it up, and
especially when he's going well, right?
Right. And I mean him and Rory. The saying is when they're playing their best, everyone else is playing for second. So it's just a matter of whether they're playing their best. But that's my pick, and I'll stick with it, Dustin Johnson, and we'll roll with that.
Shinnecock all weekend in Southampton, New York. I hope the weather is lovely. Tiger Woods is there, so it'll be a big deal. I'll be watching the World Cup in the morning, and I'm one of those guys on Saturday afternoon. I'll be eyeing up the leaderboard and keeping an eye on it on Sunday as well. Robert Canady is Buckets and Birds. Buckets because it's basketball all winter here at WNST on the college basketball on the local circuit, and the UMBCs and the Towsons and the Loyolas and the Morgans and the Coppins all trying to regroup as well. And it's golf season and the U.S. Open this weekend. So if you want to go hit around or play around, or if you got an event that you need to host, Robert Canady can do that for you down at Compass Point, Billy Casper Golf Course with two sides to it down there in Pasadena. Learn more at compasspointgolf.com. You can find me out on the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Our morning newspaper delivers to your email inbox directly, digitally, each and every morning at 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and planetfitness.com, and Laurel and the entries on the front of WNST.net, as well as in our morning newspaper now, each and every morning. It's all brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Jockey Club. We're there gearing up for the Maryland Millions coming up a little later on this summer, and I'll be getting you some dates and some updates and all sorts of things from the racetrack as well. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. If there's any breaking news, you get that first on the WNST text service. It is our best service now, over a decade of breaking news and doing it so well that our competitors steal our information. It's true. It's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Dennis will be here on Thursday. He'll be stealing your heart from 3 until 5. I'll be checking in for the weekend and a little World Cup preview now that the United States is going to host 2026 World Cup. I'll get my soccer shirt out. I will be the nerd tweeting and blogging about soccer the next 3 weeks because I do it every 4 years because I like the World Cup. Even when we can't play, we weren't going to win when we played, so let's not get too excited. It was 3 nice mornings where we got, Bloody Marys and drank beer before lunchtime. But other than that, other than in 2002 when it was a hell of a lot of fun, and 2006 when I went in Germany, and 2026 that I hope I live long enough to be able to attend, I do dig the World Cup. So there'll be a little bit of that going on around here too. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. We are WNST.net AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.